Coming up on CTV Sports, the volleyball team is back to its winning ways after a 3-match skid, but this weekend is the biggest test of the year. We'll give you a rundown of the weekend's matchups.
And after such a promising game against CU, the Rams dropped their first home game of the season. We'll tell you what this means for the next week's games.
And in case you missed it, is back with a whole bunch of brand new fails. This is CTV Sports. Welcome back to another edition of CTV Sports. I'm Ryan Hillman, joined by Scott Huston. We're the Gray Brothers. We had a good weekend, chock full of football here in Colorado. Some good, some bad.
Yeah, good if you played professional football, but if you played collegiate football in Colorado, it was terrible.
That's right.
Terrible.
We'll get to all this weekend's action, but let's start with some quick stories about CSU sports in and around the fort. Start the day off with some volleyball recaps. Last time we reported on the volleyball team, they had just won their first 3 games of the year. Well, a lot has changed since then. The only ranked Lady Rams dropped out of the top 25 after losing 3 straight matches to Tennessee, BYU, and Wichita State. The Rams seem to be getting back to their winning ways, however, especially after beating number 12 Pepperdine last Friday. But the next game for the Rams may be the biggest game in the program's history, when the defending national champion and the second best team in the nation, UCLA, visits Moby Arena this Saturday night. Scott and I will preview that game later on. Moving on to our favorite Olympian, CSU alum Janae Deloach was honored last Thursday by the city of Fort Collins. Residents of Fort Collins were able to hear and meet with Deloach, who gave everyone in attendance an insider's view about what the Olympics were like from an athlete's point of view. The former mayor of Fort Collins, Ed Stoner, read a proclamation declared September 6th as Olympic Medalist Day for Fort Collins. Janae also told the crowd her plans for the 2016 Olympics.
I was in really great shape this year, but I know I can be in better shape and I can run faster and jump further, and I am going to be doing that. I will be trying for the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympics, and I will not give up until I have a bronze or a gold around my neck.
With all the sights and sounds of the new football season upon us, it's easy to get caught up in it all. But one of the biggest stories of this year is actually off the field.
Cars, the food, the tailgating, the noise means only one thing. CSU football is back in action in Fort Collins. But even though the team is back on the field, a lot of the focus is not there.
We need to have as much enthusiasm as we possibly can surrounding the opportunity to have the stadium.
All the noise was around the possible new stadium. And even though Hughes is loud now, the other site isn't.
Although it's quiet right now, it's actually this site that's causing a lot of the noise around CSU football this year, because right here is the potential site for the new on-campus stadium.
The idea from Jack Graham revolves around here, the parking lot greenhouse area on CSU's campus. A 42,000-seat coliseum that would be the new heart of Colorado State athletics. But since its proposal, the idea has been fiercely contested and supported. The funding for the stadium is now estimated at $246 million, with other costs going up to $60 million. Despite both sides arguing their points, the decision rests with Tony Frank and the Board of Advisors. So until their decision on October 4th, it will be more of this at Hughes and more of this on campus. Scott Huston, CTV Sports.
Now, the final decision has been pushed back month after month after month, but Tony Frank says this decision will be on October 4th. Well, coming up after the break, Ryan and I will discuss the biggest sports stories from this weekend, including Rams volleyball, Rams football, and a little Peyton Manning as well. Never can get too much of him.
Real-world problems is a hallmark of research at Colorado State University. The Engines and Energy Conversion Lab at CSU is committed to meeting the global energy challenges of the 21st century. Developing countries use our clean burning wood stoves, giving them safe and sustainable technology, helping to reduce indoor air pollution and improving the quality of lives. Colorado State University Research. Local discovery, global impact.
If you're looking for a new pet, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are full of healthy and loving pets, eager to become a part of your family. To find out more, you can visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to CTV Sports, discussion time with Scott Huston and I. Scott, let's start with some volleyball. I talked earlier about how this weekend might be the biggest match in the program's history when UCLA comes into Moby. Scott, do we have a chance in this one?
Do we have a chance? Yes. Our team has showed what its potential has been. We beat number 5 Nebraska last year. We swept Pepperdine this past weekend, straight sets. They were ranked number 12. So we do have the potential to beat a team like UCLA, ranked number 2 in the nation. But it's more the question of execution. We had such a problem against Wichita State. But if we can match our execution up to our potential, then yes, I think we have a great chance to win this game.
I agree with you, Scott. I think the biggest factor, is the students. If we show up, pack Moby, like we did for Nebraska when we topped them last year, I think we can totally win this one. So everyone, pack Moby.
Yeah, get the Moby magic going again.
Yep.
Now, Hillman, let's move on to some football. And after such an emotional win that the Rocky Mountain Showdown was, this weekend against North Dakota State was basically the complete opposite of that. The Rams came out firing on that first drive, the long pass to Crockett Gilmore. But for the rest of the game, we just look lost out onto the field. How does this happen to the Rams, especially against an FCS opponent?
Well, this FCS opponent, one of the best I've ever seen. It all started going downhill when that safety happened. All momentum swung to North Dakota, and CSU just looked flat. I think the biggest difference in this one was the O-line and D-line for North Dakota. They were in Grayson's face the whole game, and we weren't in the quarterback's face for North Dakota at all. So that was definitely the biggest factor in this game.
Yeah, and even Coach Mack said in the post-game press conference, and the players all agreed, it was a bad week of practices. And when you have a bad week of practice against a good opponent, it translates into a really one-sided match, which is exactly what we saw. So I think if we can get out of this Rocky Mountain Showdown hangover that we seem to be in and get back to what we should be doing, I think we'll bounce back easily.
Yep. Now, CSU was definitely a disappointing football this weekend, but that was all forgotten last night when the Broncos and Peyton Manning played their first game of the season against the Steelers last night. Scott, I know it's the first week, but it was awesome.
It was magnificent.
What do you take away from this one?
The biggest thing I was able to take away from this is the Broncos are no longer limited to just the run game. Last year, that was all we were able to do with Tim Tebow. Peyton Manning comes in. We are now a two-dimensional team. We can run, we can pass, we can move up and down the field. And this, the D-line, the pass rush was also outstanding. Getting Elvis Dumervil back, that's really going to help the Broncos. We put tons of pressure on Big Ben, and if it wasn't for him, I don't think it would have been nearly as close of a game.
I totally agree. The O-line, one of the biggest questions coming into the season, they proved everyone wrong. Peyton Manning had plenty of time to throw the ball. He shredded the Steelers secondary.
Yep.
And the stiff arm. The Broncos in the stiff arm against the Steelers, you got to love it.
It's got to feel good.
It's got to feel good.
Got to feel good.
I think the linebackers with coverage against tight ends, we need to work on that with Tony Gonzalez in the upcoming week because Heath Miller killed us there.
Yeah, you got a lot of zone blitzes there. So if we pull back on that and start going into more coverage scheme, I think it should be fine.
Should be a good season. All right, well, coming up after the break, Men's Soccer had their own version of the Rocky Mountain Showdown as they took on the Buffs down in Denver. And we bring back, in case you missed it, where we show you what happens when Bears fans try to tailgate.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stand.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
The CSU Mens Soccer team took on the CU Buffs last Friday for their very own version of the Rocky Mountain Showdown. Unfortunately, this game did not have the same excitement or outcome as their football counterparts. The game was close the entire way through, just like football, but the Rams could not overcome the only goal scored in the game by the Buffs and wound up losing to their in-state rivals 1-0.
It's a shame they couldn't pull that one up.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
All right, everybody. It is one of the time for our favorite things here at CTV Sports called In Case You Missed It.
I missed it.
I missed it.
I missed all of it.
This is where we let you in on some of the more unusual sports stories, videos, tweets, and all that other good stuff that you may have missed this week. So let's start out with some tennis. The U.S. Open was last week, and usually before the tournament begins, they have some celebrity matches for the fans that go.
Always entertaining.
This year it was comedians Adam Sandler and Kevin James who got to play doubles with tennis legends John McEnroe and Jim Carrey. Unfortunately for James, he should have probably stuck to comedy and his couch, because here's James trying his hand at between the legs return shot,
tough shot,
and not only misses the ball, but the ball ends up hitting him in the head. Yikes. Hurt. Well, except maybe for him, his pride.
Look, he hits himself once, and then on the next swing, he hits himself in the ribs. He hit himself twice.
Definitely
on
a good
one
laugh.
swing, and he missed both.
One word for this, Scott. Embarrassing.
Yep. Absolutely one of the most embarrassing moments I've seen in tennis, other than the classic slip fall. All right, well, as you may have heard, the NFL season has started, which of course means it is tailgating season. But it appears some Chicago Bears fans are trying a little too hard. Yesterday, Bears fans set up, well, let's just call it a dancer's pole in the parking lot, and this girl wanted to strut her stuff. But the pole dance quickly turns into a break dance, as she probably ended up breaking some bones. That is sad.
That is just terrible.
Why would you try and pole dance on something popping up out of a truck?
Just put a tether ball on that and call it good.
It'd be a lot more fun than falling off flat onto your back and embarrassing yourself.
You know what? They have Cutler now. We got Manning, so I could care less about the Bears. All right, moving on. And although the Rams lost this weekend in football, we can all take comfort in knowing that the CU Buffaloes also lost to Sacramento State.
It's the bottom of the barrel of the FCS.
That's all right.
That's sad.
As if a loss like that wasn't humiliating enough, check out what Sports Illustrated writer Stuart Mandel had to say about the Buffs' season so far. Mandel tweeted on Saturday, "If you ever wanted to see what a program looks like after the death penalty without actually getting one, I give you Colorado."
Well, it's true, though. He's not exaggerating.
It's very true.
If you look at them, I mean, we are in a rebuilding process, and they couldn't beat us. They couldn't beat Sacramento State, the bottom of the barrel FCS team, and the rest of their schedule, it's brutal.
I'm seeing a defeated season.
Yeah.
USC, good luck, CU.
Oregon, you get Washington.
Yep.
The only maybe win, maybe Arizona State. Maybe.
It's going to be a tough season in Boulder, but we love it here in Fort Collins.
We do. Well, that's all for our show tonight. Remember, if you missed anything here, you can catch the whole episode at ctv11.com and also on our CTV Sports Facebook page.
And another friendly reminder to go to the volleyball game this Saturday to support your Rams against the second best team in the nation. UCLA is coming to town. Coach Hilbert definitely wants Moby rocking for this game, easily the biggest game of the season. It's on Saturday at 7 p.m.
Fill the whale. Fill the whale. Well, tune in next week where we will be breaking down that matchup as well as some of the football teams against San Jose State. But that is it for us. Alongside Ryan Hillman, I'm Scott Huston. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Students are responsible for all CTV content. Therefore, they bear responsibility for the decisions they make. CTV is not an official program of Colorado State University, but is produced by an independent, nonprofit corporation using the name CTV pursuant to a license granted by CSU.